Hey, yo, fellas. Yo, what's poppin'? How we doing today? We got a 6-game slate. We got games getting canceled left and right out the wazoo in this place. Yo, what's poppin'? Can you all hear me loud and clear? Can you all see me loud and clear? That's right. Yeah, you can see this Sharpie on my head. Yeah, we got 2 streams tonight. This one, the premiere of The Opening Bell, a new jock market show that I have on Tuesday nights for the NBA. Maybe we could even make it more than that. We'll see how that goes. How y'all doing? What's poppin'? I see people already partying in the motherfucking chat early on right now. What's going on? Yo, look at this. Good thing we don't got a podcast version. Good thing we don't got, what am I, from fucking Boston? Good thing we don't got a podcast version for this show, these live streams, because then people would be deprived of the Sharpie that we got on our heads right now. This fade of mundo. Fellas, what's poppin'? What's going on? How you doing? How you feeling? We got over 120 people in here already. How you doing? How's your Tuesday going, everybody? How's your National Pancake Day going? Did you get your free pancakes at IHOP? Did you get your free? Did you skip the diet today? Did you get the strawberries and the whipped cream on them pancakes? What's up? What's poppin'? How you doing? We're here to answer your questions. Patreon has been updated for the latest news. The Kyrie Irving and the Daniel Tice news is the only news as of right now on this slate. And it's Stud City. I got 4 guys projected for 60 or more points, I think, today. Let's look at this. Jock Market's going to be a fun show to do later on. Hopefully you guys can tune into that. I've got 4 guys projected for 60 or more points. Normally it's 1 guy at most is projecting for 60. At most. And that's kind of like a rarity. So, man. Yeah, today's about the paying up for 2 studs and just finding the value elsewhere. Now we got some more value thanks to Kyrie being out from Brooklyn. But a bunch of people hopping in here right now. I see people hopping before the chat. I see people seeing in there right now. We got Heavenly Waterbug. Heavenly Waterbug starting off the show big. Hopefully, if your Tuesday has not been good already, look, I got in a little bit of a little funk this morning and I said, fuck this, I'm not feeling bad today. Let's go run. Then it hit 60 degrees. Then your boy got a haircut. Oof, the premiere of the new Jock Market show tonight. Oh, it's a good time. Oh, it's a good day to have a good day. Heavenly Waterbug, the first super chat, asking Cantor, Murray, or Horford. Look, we're still getting into the intro, but I'm going to answer that because it's a fucking good day, and you gave me $2, so we're going to have to do it. Cantor, Murray, or Horford today. Give me if I had to choose between all those guys, I'll take Cantor there. Your fade is clean as fuck, says Braden. Let's go. If a single person today tries to take a shot at the haircut, 1, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The man, Monster the Barber, set this shit up. And number two, that's what you are. And number two, you're going to be gone. We're going to cut you out of here. What's up, everybody? I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to try and look back at some of the chat that was happening before the live stream. I was busy writing the jokes today for the That One, or not That One, Doom. Today in sports, the 1-minute skits that we're doing on social medias, the comedy sketches that I'm doing, those are going to be going out tomorrow. There's one of them. I have to edit it. It takes like 2 seconds. It's a minute fucking long. But then I have to send it over to the editor to get all the stuff on screen. What's up, everybody? How you doing? What about Giannis today? Giannis looking good. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the like. We're going to hit the subscribe whether you're watching live or on the replay. And everybody that's watching this, all couple hundred of you, hit that little notification bell. That little bell right there by the subscribe button. Tap it. Make it look like it's ringing. That really does help so you're notified of when we're going and doing live shows. We'll be going live at 7 p.m. tonight for an hour on this channel right here. So tune back in. We're going to be discussing Jock Market strategy and the closing bell on Jock Market tonight. We'll have some skin in the game as well, and I'll be trying to buy my final shares, but we'll be answering your questions from a Jock Market perspective. Mundo. Fellas. Hayden, how you doing? Fellas, what's up? Artful, what's up, my man? Any love for Fred VanVleet? Yeah, decent love, but not a ton because I'd rather just go up to that next level of studs. What's up, everybody? Motherfucking Sal, bro. He building an empire. All them big DFS companies who ain't locking this dude down or fucking up. I called it here and now. Mark these words, says Jason. Yeah, man. I'm down to do like shows with some DFS companies, right? We've done shows with Awesemo. I'm not a free agent. I'm my own company, right? I'm my own enterprise, but I'm down to premiere on any shows, any DFS shows out there, any DFS companies, more so sports betting, anything in general. I mean, going on shows about just talking business is probably something I'd enjoy more at this point, right? Discussing kind of the same stuff from like, this NBA guy. I do that on my own channel. I don't got to do it like 3 more times a day, but if anybody wants to have me on, if anybody's watching this or knows a friend of a friend that has a business podcast or DFS or sports betting, I'm down to come on. I'm down to associate, mingle, make some connections. When you build your network out of like-minded people, leads to a lot of good ideas, leads to a lot more happiness. So, yeah, man, I appreciate the vote of confidence there. Thanks, man. Sal, first in the chat, first in the tourney, baby. Would love to see how you were projecting minutes for Brooklyn tonight. Joe Harris all day for my guy. Here's the minutes tonight for Brooklyn. On the screen right now, no more Kyrie Irving, so I gave Harden 39 minutes. Might be a minute too high, but he's averaging like 38 on the year. Harris 34, Jeff Green 32, Bruce Brown 32. TLC gets the big bump. He's looking like decent value at 32 minutes now. Shamet to 20 minutes. Tyler Johnson gets a bump to 18. And also I have Chris Chiozza now in the rotation. I have him now at 10. You can see him down here. Fellas, let's give our boy Sal some likes since he helps us with those dollar rooskies. I see 200 people in here right now. How y'all doing? You're in the best pre-lock show for NBA that you're going to be finding out there, right? We got the analysis already taken care of this morning in the video. Sometimes when Dylan does the noon videos, we don't need to sit here and walk you through game by game, every single thing, right? We got you. Ask your questions and we're going to answer them. We're here for you, fam. We're here for you. So let's get into it. No Kyrie Irving now, so Harden will probably hit a 60 burger or higher. Harden is my highest projected player today, and I have him projected for 66.2 points. He's projected for 6 points more than anybody else, and that's fucking saying something, given the fact that you have three other guys projected for 60 points in the slate, Giannis, LeBron, and Jokic right now, at least in my projections. I also would like to let people know, if you're not a patron, the patrons that are out there, I opened up the Discord to anybody that is now a priority Patreon member. Has access to all the Discord channels. It's not just specifically to your sport. And you can also sign up just for Discord if you would like to, and not the packages and things like that. So if you want to get into the Discord, bounce questions off myself and all the other people in the community, hundreds of people in there, you can check it out. It's linked down below. The Discord tier I added today as a little something else to be playing with. So how y'all doing? Italian, the Slate Stallion, Heavenly with another $2 super chat. I appreciate you. Sal, that freight is fresh. It is fresh. Already subbed my pimp. What's up, Braden? I appreciate you. Hit that motherfucking like. What's up, everybody? Sal's always high in life. I love it, says Anthony. Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'm not always. I'm not gonna be a poser. I've talked about my mental struggles over these last 6 months, dealing with loneliness and comparing yourself in some situations. But we're human, man. We're human. But the ways to work on it are to read books. I've got like fucking 5 books on my desk that are all about like spirituality. Stumbling Upon Happiness, reading it for like the second time. The Art of Stopping Time. The Daily Stoic. These are all on my desk right here that I'm like in the middle of reading all of them. Like I don't get bored with one, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this one now. I bounce around to it. Sal, I'm ready to be your agent, says Unicorn Love. Hey, I might need an agent at some point, but right now we're pretty good. Thompson or Williams today if you had to pick one? So Bobby Williams or Thompson, I'm giving Thompson 27 minutes. I'm giving Williams 18. Given that, I'm going to be going with Thompson if I had to pick one of those two. If I had to pick one of those two, I'd be going there. I don't have Williams grading out as like the best type of a play. Like, here's the deal. Williams, from a value standpoint, looks really good. Like, just point per dollar value at the price point. Williams grades out as like one of my top point per dollar plays, but only for 19 fantasy points, right? Now, you can see Williams play 22 minutes today, and Thompson's minutes come down. So there's some upside in Williams, but the minutes are a little bit unstable, I would say. I'll flip my answer to you. Tristan Thompson still looks okay, but I'll go Williams if I had to pick one, just because of the nature of this slate and how important it is to get up to 2 of those studs. I mean, maybe even 3 if you can get up there, but just to get up to 2 of those studs, a LeBron and a Harden and a Giannis and a Jokic, right? Any of those mixes. So you're going to have to start to go to some value. I think TLC looks like the best value play at $3,900 right now, but Robert Williams looks pretty damn good too. What's up, my man? What's going on, man? I should have listened when you said Joe Ingles was a good pivot on Super Draft last night. Who is that guy tonight, Sal? I'm riding it. What's going on, Gerald? Yeah. Good pivot last night just based on that multiplier. There's going to be a couple of guys who have that similar Super Draft multiplier. So Super Draft, the sponsor of the show, if you have not yet done so already, go in the description down below and click that link. We can make this into a motherfucking wrap. Click that link, sign up, use the code SAL, S-A-L, because you're leaving money on the table if you're only putting your money on Draftkings or only putting your money on FanDuel or only putting your money on player props, right? You're leaving money on the table unless you're getting the deposit bonus from a site like a Monkey Knife Fight, but you're leaving money on the table because contest isn't going to fill. Simple as that. $15,000 to first place, and there's going to be 80% filled. So you're literally leaving positive ROI, expected value plus EV. You're leaving that on the table the second that you don't put as much dollars as you possibly can of your bankroll into that. Guys that look good on Super Draft tonight that are in that like interesting range that have a nice ceiling on him. Norman Powell. He's not going to look that great on Draftkings in my opinion, but he has a 1.75x multiplier. There's still no OG Anunoby out there, right? Doubtful. So Norman Powell with a 1.75x multiplier. One of those guys who won't grade out as the highest projected guy. The best play in the slate's Harden on Super Draft. He's projected for 10 more points than anybody else. That's the best I've ever seen yet while projecting Super Draft in the past year. So Harden's the best play in the slate on Super Draft. But Norman Powell's interesting at a 1.7x. Kyle Kuzma at a 1.7x multiplier. If he gets you somewhere around 33, 30, if he has like a 35-point game, massive upside there as well. Malik Beasley falls into that Joe Ingles category of guys who don't project out as well, but they project out decent with the high multiplier. So if they just have a little bit more of a decent game, they jump so many guys. Minutes for Andre Roberson. I would guess 0. Let me see. My minutes for Andre Roberson, I believe, are probably going to be 0. Oh, I spelled Roberson wrong. That's Robert Williams. 0. Yeah, 0. DeAndre Jordan or Javonte Green tonight. If I had to pick one between Deontay Jordan or, let's see, between Deontay Jordan or JaMychal Green, DeAndre Jordan, I would go to JaMychal Green. I will go to JaMychal Green. What's poppin', Sal? I won 6K last week on Thursday, getting second on Super Draft. There you go, man. There you go, Eben. You had good projections, and I guess the last 2 value plays from that night, so that was dope. Attaboy, man. Attaboy. There you go. Oh, look, the tools on the Patreon, the tools that I put out there that I put in, 1, I use them, and number 2, I mean, just getting people to sign up is what I would like to do to get people over there and just use the tools, right? You use those tools and then put in your own analysis or your own types of expectations, and that's how you can get yourself some $6,000. I love to hear that. That's honestly heartwarming, right? Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Book will change your life. Recommend on tape so you can listen while you run. Yeah, I heard the book's fantastic. I like Goggins. I've listened to his, I follow him on Instagram. I don't follow many people. He's one of them. I've listened to him on Joe Rogan a couple times. So yeah, seems to be really good over there. About to get that YouTube Premium just so I can listen to your boys' live streams at the gym, says Steven. Hey, yeah, so what does that do? That allows you to, I assume it just allows you to, like, shut your phone, right? That's pretty cool. TLC or DJJ? Derek Jones Jr. or TLC? TLC for sure for me. TLC for sure. Cantor or Horford today? Let me just check to be sure. I said Cantor earlier when somebody asked in the chat. Now, neither of them are, like, standout plays today, especially at their price range. It's like both look okay. I think the answer for me is going to be Cantor today. Yeah, the answer for me is going to be Cantor. He's okay. He looks okay. He's a borderline top 15 play for me. How do you feel about Lou Dort today? I liked him a little bit more earlier on, but now that we got more value popping up on the slate, I'm not as much there in these OKC guys. I still like Diallo mainly, but Lou Dort's my 42nd overall play. The price point just came up, right? Now he's 5,400. He's no longer 4,400 like he was a couple weeks back. Is it okay to fade Jokic tonight? Yeah, it is, because you have other studs. As long as you're playing some of those other studs. LeBron, Harden is the best play in the slate right now, and Giannis, right? Michael Porter Jr. or Kuzma. It's going to be Michael Porter Jr. for me. We could pull up Denver. They're already down some bodies. I'm giving Michael Porter Jr. massive minutes, right? 34 minutes for him is insane for a guy who averages over a fantasy point per minute. No Will Barton out there. No Paul Millsap out there. A questionable Monty Morris. So, yeah, Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to take on a lot of the workload from a just usage standpoint and fantasy point per minute projection standpoint. Porter Jr. or Justin Jackson? Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. for sure over there. Who is the most middle-owned player today? What do you mean by middle-owned player? Like middle-priced player? Is that what you're trying to signify there? I would say Michael Porter Jr. will be highly owned today. I would say that Michael Porter Jr., if you count him as a middle-owned player, otherwise you'll probably see a lot of ownership factor into guys like Tatum at 8,700 in that range. But yeah, for the most part, like it's pretty interesting to me. You're going to see those studs being highly owned today, right? You're going to be seeing Harden pick up a lot more ownership now, but they're all going to be owned. That they all might be like 20% owned today. So you're going to naturally have like unique builds, even if you play the quote unquote chalky studs, because everybody's going to want to play all of them. So if they're all like 20% owned, they're all going to be somewhat owned, right? Also, let me know how the camera looks, the appeal looks here. I just hooked up the Brio, Logitech Brio, for anybody knows. It's like the upgrade from the version I had earlier. I'm still trying to tinker around with the settings and stuff, but mainly it'll make like the background pop out when I don't have a green screen on, like the colors and stuff like that. More just a little bit more clear and it pulls colors out. So it might not really seem like a difference right now, but except for this fucking Sharpie on my head. Thompson and Williams in the same lineup, not for me. Is Harden's ownership going to be enough to consider fading? Not for me, probably. I mean, if it comes in at 45, 50%, maybe, because you have so many other studs, but I'm just going to pair them together. Like, if you play a 20% owned Giannis today and a 28% owned Harden today, like, what's the big deal, right? There's so many studs that he can't be highly owned. If he was the only guy on this slate, not these other guys projecting out so nicely, right? If he was projecting for 66 and the next closest was like 55, yeah, then he's going to come in at 50%. And he's even more of a priority because there's not other guys who you can get to. But the fact that he's going to come in probably like 25% owned in a lot of contests, maybe 30%, it's not that bad on a 6-game slate, especially when you're probably going to be pairing up a couple of them. LeVar Ball tonight? Yeah, I'd probably get there. Can you fit 3 studs into a lineup tonight? I'm thinking that I'm trying to get to Lillard, Jokic, and Harden. If there's enough value, I mean, you have like Bob Williams, you have TLC, you have some other guys from some other teams that can play some guys like Tristan Thompson now look a little bit better, right? You have some other just naturally cheaper options if a Monty Morris plays. Some guys like Justin Jackson still from OKC grading out with some value. JaMychal Green looks like a strong value play. So if you can fit it, right? I haven't tried to get 3. Most of my lineups have been 2. Somebody said the background's popping. Somebody said, yeah, funny. You think it's possible to squeeze in Lillard with Harden and Jokic? I would say difficult right now unless we get like 1 or 2 more guys. I would try it though. What do you expect Harden's ownership to be on DK tonight? Depending on the contest, I would say like on average across the board, because of how many other studs there are, I'd say Harden probably like 34% owned. Somewhere around there. 35% owned, 36, somewhere around there. Best low ownership options today. Yeah, I think you're going to see some upside options, right? Kyrie Irving was going to be one of those options for me, but he's no longer going to be low owned. If you're trying to find guys like at that like 10% and lower range, I think Kyle Lowry still offers some upside at his current price point. I think Dylan Brooks, who was a feature player in the video this morning at 5,500, offers a lot of 35 to 40 point upside down in that price range. But outside of that, like I'm just going to be sticking in that 15 to 12% range. There's not many guys in the single digit ownership range. We'll have to see what happens with the starters. Like if Campazzo was to start, he'd start to pick up a lot more ownership for Denver if Monty Morris was out. Isaiah Roby, if he was to start, he looks pretty decent at $4,000, right? Those guys aren't going to pick up ownership, and they probably won't because the slate will lock before a lot of those guys play. Joe Val at 7.6K might be the best low-owned, high-upside play on the entire slate for DraftKings perspective. That's probably where I would be looking a decent amount. Here's the Lakers minutes for me with no Anthony Davis. Cheap point guard options today, please. Quote unquote, please. Since you said please, cheap point guard options today that grade out good for me. Monty Morris, if he plays at $4,400, would look like the best. And then if he doesn't play, whoever fills in for him. Monty Morris or Anthony Simons. Morris if he plays. Hey, Sal, is Harden a must in all formats tonight? I'm going to be prioritizing Harden, yeah. I'll be prioritizing Harden tonight. I mean, the guy I have him projected for 66 points. He has by far the highest ceiling, median projection, and floor on the slate. Obviously, the ownership's going to matter, but I'm going to be I'm going to be just getting different elsewhere. So a priority for me is Harden, and then just pair him up with then who's the next lowest owned stud. I would assume it's going to be Jokic. So if I can get like a 34% Harden today, and let's just say Jokic comes in at like 18%, I'm not different, but man, that's a pretty damn good way to start, right? Sal, should I be removing the likes and dislikes on Fantasy Cruncher when crunching your projections? Not sure how much it affects it doing it both ways. So I don't remove anybody. I don't remove anybody, obviously, unless they're out. I just give them a 0 projection. So on optimizers, depending on which one you use, I don't remove anybody. Cat is going to go off today. He's the least owned stud. Any love for Cat? Not as much love now that Harden just moved up to a totally different level. Cat's in a player pool for me. Let me get these headphones on the floor. Cat's in a player pool for me right now, but not as much love. Not as much love now because of what's happening with Kyrie not being in that range. If you're in that range, sure. But I'm now just trying to get all the way up to the top. Semi Ojeleye, what am I thinking? So Semi Ojeleye, if you want to go to Boston, I give him a little bit of a minutes bump there. I have Semi Ojeleye now at 29 minutes, which is somewhat appealing. I wouldn't be shocked to see him play 30. The minutes are appealing, but his play is not appealing. I have him at 0.65 fantasy points per minute today. I have him for 17.6 points. He is the highest value play that I have as a no today. Other options after that I have as a no that are high values, quote unquote values, would be like Aaron Baines, John Conker. I mean, those guys are now down outside of my top 30 though. Would you consider doing that one dude by position for NBA? Appreciate all the help you have provided since I tuned in a few months ago. What's going on, Eric? Hope you're having a lovely day. The answer is no. I would like to, but I don't know how, right? I'm only one man here. The idea of the Stars and Scrubs show that Dylan Bird, if you've checked it out, it comes out on noon on Mondays and Wednesdays. It won't be coming out tomorrow though. But that's kind of the idea there, Stars and Scrubs, but I can't do it that one dude for the NBA. It just doesn't make sense for me, right? I do the video in the morning and then putting out another video and then a live stream. It just doesn't make sense to be covering one slate that in depth, right? I do the projections and stuff on Patreon. And also by the time that video, I would burn the fuck out trying to cover golf as well and manage the business and try and scale this network that we're building here with other creators. So, yeah, that one dude is probably going to be staying specifically for the NFL. Doesn't make too much sense. There's no real way logistically to do it for the NBA since it's daily. Hey, Sal, just got in. Who's your favorite play tonight? So it's going to depend, but it's looking like James Harden. He's going to be the highest owned guy, and I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. Now, some other guys that I do think offer some decent upside at low ownership, like Horton Tucker tonight. I mean, he might play like 26 minutes for the Lakers, no AD. Horton Tucker might look like a nice value play that I don't think he's going to be. I don't think Horton Tucker is going to be all that owned at all. Like Horton Tucker might be 10% owned today, so like he's not a favorite play, but he's a way to get different when you're using value tonight, right? Like sure, Kuzma can go out there and play his 30 minutes, but Horton Tucker will play alongside of him and pick up minutes elsewhere, right? But I would say Harden's probably the favorite play. TLC is my top value. Where are you with Horford right now? Yeah, so after running projections, it looks like Kanter's going to look like a better play. Horford is one of my yeses, though, tonight. Horford's going to be one of my yeses. You have to get different somewhere, right? And there's some ways to get different, like a Horton Tucker at value tonight. Horford, I would assume, comes in right now with, let me pull in Al, see where I have him right now. So I have him as one of my yeses. I can tell you how many yeses I have overall right now. Horford, I would assume, picks up probably like some average ownership tonight. I have 23 yeses on the slate. My player pool is around 50 players for a 6-game slate. That'll probably get chopped down by a handful of players. Sal, let me do that one, dude, for you. I'll DM you a sample, says Steven. Is that my brother, Steven? Is that Steven Vetri? Yeah, man, I don't know. There's just too much NBA content already on the channel. Maybe that's wrong, but there's a part of YouTube where if you're going to upload too much content, like people start not to get notifications, stuff starts to get bulked up. So like me doing a video in the morning, Dylan doing a video in the afternoon, me doing a live stream later in that day, there's only so much that people can watch, right? It's not like we're covering NBA at a large or like NFL at a large where there's just so many eyeballs on it. It's NBA DFS for Draftkings and Super Draft, right? Like it's pretty specific. So, I mean, if you absolutely blew me out of the ballpark with like really top-notch quality, then, I mean, you'd probably be doing it on your own then I would consider it for sure. But that's what it would have to be at this point. Like a sample would have to blow me out of the ballpark for that one dude to NBA be something that I would consider to put onto the channel at this point. Who are your two favorite studs as of right now? For me, it's going to be Harden 1. And then these 3 other guys all grade out for 60 points for me. So based on that, it's going to be Harden and LeBron right now as my 2 favorite studs. That being said, though, if Harden and LeBron are the 2 highest owned studs, I'm not going to go to them. I'll go to Harden because he's borderline my favorite play. And then I would just go to the lowest owned. So I guess my 2 favorite studs are Harden and the lowest owned stud, which probably ends up being Harden and Jokic, which I'm fine with. Sorry, I mean, should I remove the thumbs up and down on Fantasy Crunch? Do they affect you? I don't use them, so yeah, I don't use them. Bruce Brownlove, not really. Do you still like Diallo, Sal? Yes, I do, Henry. He's one of my yeses right now. I have Mr. Hamidou Diallo projected today for 35.8 fantasy points. Maladon is playing today. What the fuck? Somebody says. All right, well, now Diallo's not going to be as much of a priority. I'll update anything that happens during this stream, like the Theo Maladon news that we just ended up getting. Now available to play health protocols. We'll see if maybe that allows SGA to play, which then he'll start to look somewhat appealing as somebody who won't pick up any ownership. Sal, just curious to know more about your journey. When did you know you wanted to do DFS content, and what job did you do before this? I was in college. I started creating content in just different areas. There's like music review videos, I think, on this channel if you look a long time ago. But my final year of college, I started creating content. I knew for a while, I started reading Tim Ferriss, stuff like that I wasn't doing no 9 to 5, right? Like that shit's just so uninspiring for me personally. I was bouncing myself off walls, and good internships, like working in Silicon Valley on an internship for GE, tech company, GE Digital. It was a fantastic environment. You can go work anywhere. You can go out on a boat on this like lake. I mean, it's fucking crazy out there. These people, they work for like 4 hours a day. But even that, I was like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to be coming to this building. So yeah, I was in college. I just started the channel. I saw that it had traction, and I kept going. I woke up at like 4 or 5 a.m. I would walk like a mile just to go to a classroom that was empty before kids started to come in, and I would record videos. And then after doing that for about 6 months, school ended, and I was still in Penn State because my apartment lease wasn't up with my girlfriend, and I kept doing it, and I slowly built it to getting a couple $1,000s a month to like $3,000 a month to $4,000 to $5,000, and then it kept growing, and then I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to do this. I was looking for jobs for like 3 or 6 months when I moved to North Carolina, and I kept getting interviews and kept getting to the final round, and then they were like, somebody else beat you out. Somebody else was more qualified. So after like 2 months of that, I was like, fuck it. NFL season was coming up in 2019. So I said, I'm just going to do this. And then we did it full time. So I never had a full-time job, only internships because I was in school. So I was a full-time student, if you will. And then I just started this up on the side and started grinding the fuck out of it, working like 100-hour weeks during college. Hey, Sal, you should have 500,000 subscribers. Your content is awesome. Too kind, man. Maladon is still out because of health protocols. Because of the protocols, David said. He's now available to play on Tuesday, though. That is what we just got the news of as of 2 minutes ago, my man. News as of 2 minutes ago. Do you like TLC if he comes off the bench? My thoughts would change on him if he comes off the bench, yeah. Harden is going to bust tonight. Watch, says PJ Clemens. Hope not. If you're locking in, Penn State was my safety school. There you go. If you're locking in Harden, then how many Nets value is too many to add to the lineup with Harden? Suns are not a great matchup. Anyone from a fantasy perspective. Yeah, I don't buy into the Suns aren't a great matchup. Like yesterday, somebody was trying to tell me that, whoever the fuck Brooklyn played yesterday, that's how short my memory is. They're a really tough matchup for point guards. Yeah, okay. That's a terrible stat. That's the worst stat you could look at. It's an okay stat to look at, but if you're using it as your 100% or 50% of your outcomes, that stat should make up 5% of your reasoning at most, right? 10% at most if it's actually an efficiency standpoint stat, not just defense first position, fantasy points wise, because they're not facing James fucking Harden every single night when there's no Kyrie and Kevin Durant, right? They're facing guys like Anthony Simons for 25 minutes out of that average that you're looking at, right? Not James fucking Harden, right? Will Aaron Naismith play over 20 minutes again with Tice out for value? No. I have Aaron Naismith tonight for 4 minutes. What does this do to Roby? Makes him, not really much in play at all. Theo Maledon being in now makes Theo Maledon start to look like a nice option. So I'm going to have to now start to project Theo Maledon after this live stream. I'll update any of the news that comes in on the live stream just so we can keep the flow of the live stream and the Q&A going. But that will be updated. That's the only news that we have that needs updating right now. But I can let you know that's going to be changing a lot of stuff because Theo Maledon, it was health. It's not like he was injured lower body. He's going to come in and he's going to play 34, 36 minutes. So that's going to hurt a lot of the value. Kendrick Williams, Justin Jackson, Baisley, who's priced up now, is just not in, or not Baisley, Dort, but Baisley's not in play. Dort's not in play, who's priced up. It makes it really tough for them. Do you and your cousin Ben share stories and advice about creating content? What an amazing resource. Yeah, me and Ben Shapiro, we are cousins. Yeah, sometimes we do. He doesn't have much time these days, but we usually get it done in like a 30-second phone call. We talk pretty fast and we get it all soaked in. Tristan Thompson, DeAndre Jordan single entry, seems okay. Bouchard, possible 30-plus points tonight. I have Mr. Chris Boucher. Sorry for all the people out there that's ears ring when I say Bouchard. Say it how I see it, and then I remember that people got some fetishes to say Boucher. I have him for 30.99 points, personally. All right. Any cheap centers you like tonight? Yeah, I think Robert Williams looks okay if you're trying to get up to 2 to 3 studs in your lineup. DeAndre Jordan, also cheap, looks good. Outside of that, for cheap centers, that's about it, I would say. That's about it for me. It's really just Robert Williams and DeAndre Jordan on the cheap end. TLC or THT? TLC. What's your top 2 4.5K options and below? I would say my top 2 are JaMychal Green and TLC. TLC from Brooklyn. Timothy with a T-H-E, I think he spells it, something like that. Wild guy. Any KCP for you? Not right now. No interest in Tristan Thompson? No, I got interest in Tristan Thompson. Pull up Boston's minutes. They're already on the screen right now. I got interest for him. He's in a player pool of mine. If you're a Draftkings, if you're a Patreon right now, you can see all my player pools, my yeses, my priorities. Tristan Thompson isn't a priority. He's not one of my yeses, but he's definitely there. Where do you get the live NBA injury news? I'm a noob to this. Well, you get it at Fantasy Labs on Twitter. They post it. We also in our Discord, our Patreon Discord, we also have an automated bot in there that posts every single piece of news that comes out from Fantasy Labs. But Fantasy Labs on Twitter. Hey, Sal, with Irving out, does that make Lillard the top point guard? No, it makes James Harden the top point guard. Top Superdraft plays tonight, says Zach. The best play on Superdraft is James Harden by 10 points. After that, if you're just looking for a projection standpoint, Lillard, Middleton looks really good over there with a 1.4x multiplier. Joval looks great over there with a 1.45x multiplier. Probably the top center play on the slate tonight. And then some sneakier options with high multipliers, a 1.75x Norman Powell. Again, if you're not already signed up for Superdraft, be sure, fellas, to check that shit out down below. Code SAL gets you a free money bonus up to $500 Rooskies. You can check it out down below. Their contests aren't filling. It should be the first place that you're putting your money because that's exactly how you get the best ROI. Playing a contest that only has 80% of the field, not 100%. So appreciate all 400 of you in here. Hit the like, subscribe, do those things. Any Semi Ojeleye tonight? Not for me. Any Wesley Matthews tonight? Oh, no, not for me. I don't know where Wesley Matthews would be picking up minutes. I currently have Wesley Matthews for 22 minutes. That's nowhere near enough for him to get there for me. Jeff Green looking sexy, somebody says. Jeff Green's minutes will look sexy, but Jeff Green himself, for an older basketball player, appearance-wise, he looks like a very fine gentleman. But if we're talking about NBA tonight, I got him for 32 minutes, and I got Jeff Green as a no for just 24 fantasy points. If you take just Harden for studs, who are some middle-range players with upside that you find appealing? I think upside with low ownership, like Joval. Joval. Middleton will pick up ownership, but he looks like a pretty strong option as well. So middle tier, I'll assume you're saying in that 8K range and below. So in that 8K range and below, you have Enes Kanter at 7K. He's going to be owned. I'd rather just try and get up to Joval at like no ownership or half the ownership. And then guys like Middleton and Lowry in that mid-K range are some options that stand out outside of Joval. $8,700 Tatum he's a little bit up there, but him as well. Those are all guys that kind of grade out as top like 25-ish type plays. RotoWire has Maledon out. Yeah, I don't know what RotoWire is, but I'm sure they haven't updated it since this news literally just broke. But yeah. Favorite cheap nuggets today, JaMychal Green, and then Monty Morris if he plays. If he doesn't play, whoever fills in for those Monty Morris minutes. If it's Campazzo, whoever it might be that potentially starts. But yeah, it would be JaMychal Green number 1 right now. Jared Vanderbilt or Tristan Thompson? Tristan Thompson, what Itarius is? I don't know what your fucking name is. We're in Forbes tonight for the cheap, says Kamza. You can get there. Not looking good projection-wise, but we'll get 26 to 27 minutes. Is Michael Porter Jr. going to shit himself again? Yeah, I don't know if he actually did that on the court last time, but yeah, he's grading out really good. All the bodies that are down there. They currently already have to fill like 55 minutes of play, or right around that range right now is what the Nuggets have to fill. Not even counting Gary Harris and Dozier still being out, right? And then Monty Morris might miss, and that's 30 more minutes. So you're going to see big minutes out of Michael Porter. Now he has bad defensive issues, and that can pull him off the court, but when you're down bodies, you're just kind of forced to keep him out there. What do we got? Will Karl Anthony Towns be single digit owned? I just feel like he's a 10K. He's a 10K plus player. I'd say he's like right around a 10K player, right? Sometimes if he starts playing 36, 38 minutes again, like he was earlier in the year, and a lot of the time when he was healthy last year, then he would be a $10,400 player. I think based on these 30, 32 minutes that he plays, he's like a 10,000 flat player. He'll be single digit owned for sure. He'll be like 5% on tonight. For sure. Hey, Sal. Najee on, I don't know how to pronounce the name. On Denver, how many minutes do you have for him? I think I gave him like 14 minutes. 18 minutes. Doesn't look good at that. Towns a good play for Superdraft, a 1.15x multiplier specific to power forward spot, not the center spot. I'd say it's a good play just in terms of not going to be owned at all. From a Superdraft standpoint, the overall projection there is just average. So, yeah, quality play. Nothing great. If you play him on Superdraft, you might as well play him on Draftkings. Because for him to be in a winning lineup tonight on Superdraft, he'll probably have to post somewhere in the mid-50s on DraftKings type points. Interesting cat or just pay up for Jokic? I'd rather just pay up. What team Joe Val plays for, Brody? What team does Joe Val play for? The Memphis Grizzlies. Jonas Valanciunas. That's a nickname. Jamal Murray looking pretty good with all the injuries then? Yeah, he looks okay. I would say pretty good would be a little bit higher. I'd rather have Michael Porter Jr. on that team. He looks okay. Is Middleton a safe cash play tonight? I think so. After Whiteside's monster game last night, any interest in Ayton? No. I mean, Whiteside played like still small minutes. He just ended up popping off for like 26 points in them. Not really going to give me much interest. I mean, Ayton in a player pool wise, yeah. Like Ayton at $7,100 is in a player pool. I'd rather go to Joe Val. I'd rather go to Enes Kanter. I'd rather go to Horford. That's the issue though. Any love for Anthony Edwards? No, that price point is appropriate. It's not overpriced. It's just appropriate. So I don't think you're getting much value off the bone in that one. Especially like I think he has a limited ceiling. Does Maladon affect Kendrick Williams' minutes? Yes. Are you actually cousins with Ben Shapiro? LOL, that's awesome. Potentially. Who's asking? Boston Biggs, Williams or Thompson, strictly fantasy points without factoring in price. Without factoring in price, it's Thompson for me. Without factoring in price, it's Thompson. I got Thompson for right now. 8 more minutes, so that's going to get him there more times than not. Any interest in the Greek freak, Giannis? Yeah. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. I mean, Harden is my top play right now. But after that, I would be ranking it the pay-up options, Harden, LeBron, Jokic, and Giannis. But I have Jokic, Giannis, and LeBron all for 60 fantasy points and change. So it's going to come down to ownership on that second guy, which right now it's looking like Jokic, who's my second highest projected player. He's looking like the second lowest owned. And it makes sense because the price point's higher than LeBron right now. Hey, Sal, is Murray a lock for 35 plus minutes from Denver tonight? I have Murray for 36. A lock, I would say no. I only have him for 36, but I'm projecting him to get that, yeah. Booker projects as the best shooting guard in this Nets matchup? No. I mean, like shooting guard specifically only because there's a lot of guys who fit into that shooting guard spot, right? Like guys like James Harden and stuff. But Booker, no. I don't have Booker projecting out all that well. I have Booker for 38.32 points. It has him as a pretty bad play tonight because, Chris Paul's still back. Booker's my 73rd overall play point per dollar wise. If you're just looking at pure value. Also, I'd like to remind people that at 7 p.m. tonight until 8 p.m., I'm doing a new show on this channel for Jock Market. It's called The Opening Bell. So be sure to tune in to that. We'll be live right here at 7 p.m. So notifications should be sent out, but if for some reason we've done too much content today on the channel and it doesn't get sent out, you can tune into that. So we will be going live here until about 5:30, updating some projections, chilling out for a little bit, and then we'll go over into the closing bell show. I think there's a lot of upside in the daily fantasy sports or just fantasy sports meeting at stock exchange, all the upside in the world. I mean, there's Forbes and Yahoo Finance are writing articles and propping up Jock Market, all the upside in the world. So might as well get in with the company itself that I think is run by some fantastic people with similar interests of mine. And so I think there's a very big upside for this type of a show. So hopefully you enjoy it. Sal, is it reasonable to add a little more randomness to power forwards and centers? Loyal Patreon, great content. Let's go. What's going on, Bill? How you doing? Yeah, I mean, like they score more points, so I guess the answer would technically be no. I would say general like sweeping projection wise, I would say no. Reasonable. I mean, it's not egregious, but the idea with randomness is that you're putting higher randomness on lower projected players. Now it's not a put 100% on this guy, then 50% on all these guys that are projected at this. It's like it should be specifically for the player's range of outcomes. But Basically, what you want to do is you want to be putting it on higher randomness on lower projected players, lower randomness on higher projected players. If you're putting high randomness on high projected players, it's going to just like give you ranges of outcomes that are just, I mean, it's going to make it seem like getting 100 fantasy points is like more than possible, or not more than possible, but like more than a 0.01% chance. Or it's going to make it seem like getting 70 and 80 fantasy points is more frequent than it actually ever really would be. What did you thinking on Dort with Maladon in? Yeah, I'm going to update the projections after this stream, so in about 20 minutes, and I'll update them over on Patreon, but now I'm not going to have much interest in Dort. He really wasn't somebody that I liked at 5,400 after all the news anyways. Any love for Kira Lewis Jr. GPP? Or Kyra? No interest at all. Hi, Sal Vanderbilt, a good value. Yeah, he's grading out of some value for me. Good, I would say no, because the minutes are always not secure. I mean, he can play 24, and that really hurts him. But yeah, he's grading out as a good value play for me right now. Jalen Joker, Giannis, Fred VanVleet with value fillers. Seems okay to me. All those guys seem okay to me. Fred VanVleet will give you that lower owned upside type option. Somebody asked about shooting guard. So I'm going to pull up DraftKings specific positionality just so I know the guys that are point guard and shooting guard eligible, so we can reference shooting guard interest in general there. I mean, there's going to be some clear ones up top that are going to be shooting guard interests of mine, right? Like you have right now James Harden being point guard only. I'm going to be interested in seeing what happens with Shea, right? You had Maladon come off this health thing. Shea's at 8,500, so kind of out of play either way. But I would say that Fred VanVleet's interesting. The best shooting guard play pay-up-wise is probably going to be Middleton, but he'll be owned. So you have some pretty easy pivots right to Jaylen Brown. And then it really drops off. Then it's a dead range from basically like Malik Beasley. Norman Powell on Superdraft looks good. But then it's kind of a dead range until you get to the 6K range where I like Diallo, and then it's completely a dead range to where it's like a $5,500, really low owned and upside, both on Superdraft and on DraftKings. Dylan Brooks is a really nice low upside type of a play. Price point, it's buying low at $5,500, the cheapest we've seen him in a while. He'll play 30 or 32 plus if he stays out of foul trouble. Looks pretty decent. Tatum or Middleton, DK single entry. I'll go Middleton. Fred VanVleet or Middleton. If you're playing cash Middleton, if you have a lineup that you're trying to get different in one spot, then Fred VanVleet in a GPP is definitely the answer there. It's a nice way to get different. How does a person go about doing this to make some extra money? Do you need sponsors to go about doing content? To make just like there's different revenue streams. You can have digital products and sponsors, and it kind of stems down from there. Sponsors can be broken up into sponsors and affiliates. Digital products can be a subscription site. It could be, you could have physical products like merch and stuff like that. But digital products could be a course. It could be a draft guide that we did this year. It could be things like that. It could be one-off contractor work, like if I do shows on Awesemo, or if I do a video for a company that wants somebody to describe in a 3-minute video what sports betting is, right? Things like that. There's a lot of different ways, but you also need leverage, right? You need leverage. You can't just like flip on a camera today and think that you're going to get a sponsor. They're going to be like, well, where's your audience? And you're going to say, I got 3 people watching. They're going to say, well, what's that going to do for us, right? Can you list your top 5 centers for tonight, please, says Eric. So I can list them based off of value, and then I'll try and factor into that value, just kind of like point per dollar value. I can try and factor in like my best point per dollar value is Robert Williams, but he's not my top center play tonight, right? So I don't know if I have a specific list for you, like Jokic, DeAndre Jordan, Enes Kanter, Joe Val. Those are guys that are probably on the list, like top 4. And then Robert Williams just slides in there because he's got the value upside, right? Tatum or AD, ESPN. I don't know what ESPN specifically scoring for you. AD is out today, so I would not play Anthony Davis. Play Tatum. Anthony Davis is going to be out for at least a couple weeks. Tristan Thompson, okay for tonight? Yes, sir. He's okay. What do you think about the $66, 103 multi-entry on DK? Would you play it? Probably not. Probably not. That's too many entries in there. How many people are in the contest is probably the better question to ask, but 103 max is probably not something I want to do at the 66 level buy-in. 3,400 people in it with 103. Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw a lineup in there, fine, but I will probably not be playing that. I'd rather play the contest above it, $250 4 max with only 444 people. I'm gonna reserve that right now. I'd rather play the $100 single entry with 555 people, only 1 lineup per person, right? Things like that. Sal, my man, Jokic or Bron? What's going on, Jose? So here's the thing. Just choosing between 2 of them as the first guy in your lineup, LeBron. But if you're already playing Harden, I'd probably go Jokic because he's going to be lower owned. Maladon or Diallo? Diallo still. Giannis or Harden? Harden. LeBron and Middleton or Jokic and Lowry? LeBron and Middleton's going to be massively owned, so just keep that in mind. Getting different somewhere else in your lineup, but LeBron and Middleton. Another good night for Carmelo, not for me. Shamet, Bruce Brown, or Tyler Johnson, Love, or are they just a gross timeshare? I think they're just a gross timeshare. Bruce Brown would be the one that I would get to. I'll pull up Brooklyn's minutes right now. I gave Bruce Brown 26 minutes, Shamet 20 minutes, and Tyler Johnson 18. So kind of just a gross timeshare like you were saying. You still like Diallo if not starting. Looks like Kendrick Williams has to start over him. They released their lineup already? I think Diallo is still going to start, at least in my opinion. I don't think Kendrick Williams is starting at the point guard or shooting guard spot. We'll see, though, right? If you think Diallo Malin's starting at point guard. If Diallo doesn't start, then no, I'm not going to have any interest. Porter Jr. is a must money dollar entry tonight. Yeah, he looks really good. The ownership, I assume, is going to be one of the highest owned players because he's $1,000 in their price, Porter Jr. tonight. The minutes that he's going to be playing are massive because of the guys that are out. Who else besides LeBron's benefits the most with AD out? So you're going to see kind of just like mixed stuff, right? It's sort of a small sample. So like Dennis Schroeder only averages 0.83 fantasy points per minute with no AD. That's clearly not going to be the case. He's going to average closer to a point per minute. So it's a small sample, but guys like Kuzma start to average a point per minute. Harrell starts to average a point per minute. That comes up a little bit. Horton Tucker just gets more minutes and overall usage. I think that outside of LeBron, I think that Horton Tucker is my favorite option, factoring in everything, factoring in the context of the slate, trying to pay up in other spots, right? So a cheap value play that probably doesn't pick up all that much ownership. I think that Horton Tucker plays decent minutes today, and he's a quality producer with no AD. So normally I'm not on Horton Tucker because everybody likes to play him. Nobody wants to play him today. I have him for 23 minutes, 0.9 fantasy points per minute. He's cheap at 3,800. I just need like 23 to 24 overall points out of Horton Tucker. And there's a big ceiling for the upside in his minutes. He can play 26 minutes tonight, right? He can play more than that. So I like him if we're talking specifically the Lakers. The context of the slate, he's in play for me, but he's not like a standout option. I'm going to drop in the Patreon projections. I'll be updating it for the Theo Maledon news after this live stream. We'll be going live again tonight at 7 p.m. East Coast time for an hour for Jock Market, the opening bell. So yeah, you can check out Patreon, the projections, rankings, other stuff on there. PGA projections, rankings, ownership went out today. Well, ownership will go out tomorrow, but the first parts went out today. MMA will be dropping on Thursday as well, and a video on this channel. So be sure to be tracking that stuff. Thoughts on Lillard tonight? Going to be going, I would say, probably a little bit over-owned compared to what I thought I would see. Now, with the news that Harden is going to prop up there, that probably knocks down Lillard a little bit. But I think Lillard's just going to be appropriate to over-owned, and that just makes me not want to get there as much. So, like, if Lillard is going to be coming in these mid-20 percentages, and he's priced right next to LeBron, who's not that much higher owned than him, right? Like, Lillard is basically going to be same ownership levels probably as LeBron. I assume he'll be less than Harden, but somewhere around that area, right? Similar to Jokic because of the price differences. So I'd rather just get up to those other guys. Now, obviously, it's not as easy as that, but for LeBron's case, it's only $400 difference. So it's pretty relatively easy, I would say. But there's a lot of nice value plays today that aren't going to be picking up all that much ownership. Like you can expect DeAndre Jordan to pick up ownership. You can expect JaMychal Green to pick up ownership for guys below like 5K. Monty Morris, if he plays after that, like Robert Williams will pick up some because he's just dirt cheap. After that, not much is going to be picking up ownership. So it's just easy, like a Tristan Thompson, just easy to get different. A Jared Vanderbilt, if you want to try and play that, right? Dylan Brooks in the mid 5K range. A lot of the value seems to be fixated specifically on guys like JaMychal Green, as it probably should be, and then DeAndre Jordan. But you go to anybody else, like a Tristan Thompson, who can play 20, 30 minutes tonight with no Daniel Tice, you're getting different pretty easily. Thoughts on Covington? Not really there tonight, in my opinion. I think the price point has come up. I don't think he's terrible, but not really there. Do you see Ja Morant taking any ownership tonight? No. I mean, Ja Morant hasn't had a ceiling game since before he got hurt, right? When he was having a couple of big games. So I think Ja Morant probably comes in closer to 10% owned. Bruce Brown, minute projection for you tonight. Bruce Brown, I have at 26 minutes tonight. That will change if he starts. TLC or THT? TLC for me, my man. Yeah, so TLC, we have to see what the starting lineup looks like, but TLC will be a very strong option for me if he starts. It'll kind of be we have to see who starts for Brooklyn first, but once we get that news on whoever is going to be starting for Brooklyn, that'll be the determining factor on who really starts to pop up. If it is TLC starting, then I'll like that just minutes-wise. Who is the most fadeable stud for a GPP tonight? I would say Lillard. If you're talking 10K plus range, none of them are they're all projecting for over 60 points. So the one that I probably get to the least is maybe Giannis. But again, that's a guy coming off of 2 out of the last 3 60-point games. Is Kuzma okay? At 7K, I'm going to stay away. Do you have a Jock Market promo code? Yes. SAL20. We'll talk about it more on the stream later tonight. But SAL20, SAL20. The second you deposit the minimum, they'll give you a $20 match on Jock Market. RJ Hampton, any thoughts on Mr. RJ Hampton tonight? I think the minutes are going to go up. That's the appealing thing. But we have to see the news on Monty Morris. If Monty Morris is out, he's not a great producer, like 0.75. He's not going to be a priority if he hits the starting rotation. I don't expect that. But yeah, the minutes will come up at least, right? RJ Hampton, I currently have at 21 minutes. That'll start to move towards the upper 20s if there's no Monty Morris. Hey, Sal, is playing 3 Nuggets too many? So who are your 3 Nuggets? JaMychal Green, Jokic, and like Michael Porter? Or is it like Jokic, Monty Morris, and JaMychal Green? On a 6-game slate, no. If this was like a 9 or 8-game slate, I would say yes, but no. Is shooting guard tough to solve tonight, or is it just me? I think it's tougher than other positions because you don't have a shooting guard eligible tonight. A shooting guard eligible Harden. He's a point guard only now. You got some guys off the slate now, right? Like you have Kyrie off the slate, no SGA. You have a little bit of an overpriced Fred VanVleet. That's why Chris Middleton's picking up some more ownership because one, he's shooting guard, small forward eligible. He's been playing well as of late. Now he's a really nice matchup. So some of those things factor into it, but also the minutes and not a lot of options around him, right? But I think there's a pretty decent spot at shooting guard, right? You have Jaylen Brown, you have Diallo still if he indeed starts. And then if you go down, you have some strong, cheaper options, right? Dennis Schroeder's not going to pick up much ownership with no AD because he's been producing in a small sample, not as great. So everybody looking at content today is going to say, Schroeder only averages 0.8 something points per minute with no AD. Okay, it's a small fucking sample. Come on, right? A very small sample. Or smaller sample of like 100 minutes and change. But I think Dillon Brooks is a very interesting shooting guard option at 5,500 and right in that range. It's basically that range for me. Your Dennis Schroeder's, I think it's a pretty sneaky GPP range. Schroeder, Joe Harris, and Dillon Brooks range. We talked about Eric Bledsoe earlier on the show. So that 5K range at shooting guard for me is kind of where I kind of like it. If Bruce Brown starts, something's changed there. Monty Morris is your easy shooting guard value at 4,400 if he plays. Is Michael Porter Jr. a must-own if I'm playing cash? I would try and get him in that lineup, yeah. I would try and get Michael Porter Jr. into that. I'll let you know where he grades out. So, like, cash play-wise, like point per dollar-wise, Michael Porter Jr. ranks out as my 7th overall play tonight. So, a must, no, because there's obviously guys ahead of him. But in that 5K range that you're looking for, it basically comes down to him and Dillon Brooks for me. So, yeah. I'm pretty high on Dillon Brooks, right? Not just like Superdraft, he looks good at a 1.65x, but Dillon Brooks is my number 13 overall play today. Not going to pick up ownership. That's a pretty nice spot to get different with. Now, does it always play out? No. I mean, this team is in so many blowouts. He gets in so much foul trouble. But if he plays his 30 to 32 minutes, he's $500 to $700 underpriced. What's a good app to follow players in terms of statistics for Superdraft without having to check Superdraft app? You're probably not going to find one. There's like no DK Live for Superdraft. I would assume that's a good thing for them to bring up. So, in your opinion, is DFS the most likely form of gambling to actually make money compared to sports betting / card games? I can't really touch on card games. I don't bet. I don't play poker. I don't do any of that stuff. So I don't have much experience there. I would say if you're really good, tip of your top of your class in that, you can win. Sports betting, I would say compared to sports betting, yeah. Look, peer-to-peer games like cards and stuff like that, as long as you're playing in person, you don't think there's anything fishy going online. You can have a much better edge when you have to beat somebody else or a group of people, right? Than when you just have to beat the market. Nobody beats the market. People try and beat the stock market by day trading and stuff like this, and they might be telling their friends that they made a quick buck doing this. They don't beat the market, right? They don't. Even if they profited for 1 year, they probably lost money in taxes, short-term capital gains tax, and just in general, they're not long-term beating the market, right? You're not. Same thing is going to be happening. Like you might get lucky one time, and you better capitalize on that, right? But you're not long-term beating any market. Same thing with sports betting. If I had a wager, I'd say that there's 100 long-term successful sports bettors on the planet right now. Long-term means that for more than 5 to 10 years, they have made money betting on sports because it's so damn demanding. You have to be at your computer nonstop to be understanding not just injuries and stuff like that, but when those lines are dropping. So yeah, you're betting against the market. When you're just playing against specific people and you know them and you can understand their emotions are at least a little bit better, right, in a DFS landscape instead of the entire market, then yeah, you're going to have a much easier chance at winning in DFS, in my opinion, or long-term winning than you ever will in sports betting. Playing peer-to-peer games is going to give you a much greater edge compared to when a sports book is profiting off of the top end of you. So I would say that yes, anytime that you're playing against other people in a peer-to-peer game, that's where the upside starts to come in. Or anytime that you can identify an edge because contests don't fill in Superdraft, or you're early to a platform like a jock market and you have projections in things like that. That's going to be changing. Now, if you're somebody who bets on sports and you have your algorithms and all this and it's proven, well then yeah, sure, you're in that minority. But if you're just a casual coming into either sites like Jock Market and Draftkings and Superdraft, they're going to be spots where you can really go. Somebody says, golf. Yeah, golf, man. The golf video is out. Sal, is there any way on Superdraft to mass swap a player? I mean, you can just download your entries. Like that's what I normally do is just download my entries and things like that. I haven't had a situation where I didn't have enough time and had to mass swap, so I actually don't even know the answer to that. But normally I just download my entries and change them. Thoughts on Kyrie, Durant, Davis stack with A-Rod as a run back? Yeah, I would make sure that Rodgers is in that. Don't care about the other ones, but make sure Rodgers is in that. Thompson versus Williams projections. So Boston, I'll pull up their minutes again for Thompson and Williams. Only a 6-game slate. It's actually pretty nice. So overall projection-wise, I currently have Tristan Thompson at 20.8 points and Williams at 19.1 points tonight. That's actually probably a little bit off. Let me make sure that these point per minute projections are proper for. Yeah, that's right. I have the right rates in. So I have Thompson for more points. How is Justin Jackson value with Maldon back in? It's not going to look good. I can tell you that much. I'll be updating it in about 10 minutes once the stream is over. Any love for Aiden tonight? He's in a player pool, but don't love him. Thanks for the insight, Sal. You the man. Appreciate that. Hey, Sal Palantonio. Will Justin Jackson be able to keep it up with the production? What's up, Keith? No, he won't be, in my opinion, because now you have Theo Maldon back, and he's going to play 34 minutes, 35 minutes, and that's going to really kill the minutes that you're getting out of Justin Jackson and Kendrick Williams. Why is my optimizer spitting out Bembry? No idea. Love your content, man. Good stuff. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Your boy in MMA is with it. Won $125 off his $3. Yeah, man. MMA Lotan, Manpreet, he's great. Be sure to watch that video. It's going to be coming out on Thursday. Be sure to watch Manpreet's video. Go to his channel, MMA Lotan, Lock of the Night. I call him Lotan, L-O-T-N. Be sure to check him out. Do you like Maldon or Kendrick Williams today for a cheaper utility? I'd be going to Maldon if you're picking one of those two now. Assuming that the minutes we don't get any news that they won't be there. Assuming that we get no minutes, that we won't have minutes there. We currently got 376 people watching this. I appreciate you. We've been live for about 52 minutes or so. Again, we will be live at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. tonight, talking about Jock Market, the opening bell. That'll be a weekly Tuesday night show, so be sure to hit that notification bell here so you're notified of when that happens. Like, subscribe, do all those things. You want to check out the projections, rankings, any of that, it's down below over on Patreon. You can check it all out down below. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and then we might just be bouncing a little bit earlier tonight. So how y'all doing? How all 380 of you doing tonight? How your day's going? What are your thoughts on Shaman? I gave him 20 minutes. I don't like him. Bad fantasy point per minute producer. He's going to need like 28 to 30 minutes to really pay off for you more times than not. Thanks so much, Sal. A+. I appreciate that, Bill. Too kind, my man. Allen Brooks in the same lineup. What do you think? Allen Brooks in the same lineup. I don't know what you're saying there. You're saying Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks? I wouldn't want both of them. Hey, Sal, I'm thinking of putting LeBron, Harden, and Giannis on the same team surrounded by $3,000 players. What is your thoughts? I mean, sure. You need them all to go for 70 to 80 points at that point if you're just going to be putting a bunch of $3,000 guys that get you like 18, 22, 19 points, right? Like at some point it does come down to points upside, and if they just get you 60 points and you're playing a bunch of guys getting you 20, you're not going to win, right? You need them to hit their ceilings. So if Harden goes for 84, if LeBron goes for 77, and if Giannis goes for 69, then yeah, it probably works out for you as long as those 3K guys get you there. But I think we need a little bit more better 3K value as of right now, especially because now a lot of value just got soaked out of OKC, or potential value because Maldon being in. For Super Draft Mass Entry, when you open the app on your phone, you can swipe right as there is a little box in the top right corner. When the menu pops down, there's a swap option for mass swapping. There you go. Sal, if Diallo doesn't start again, what is your thoughts on him? Don't want him. Will you talk about the 2-game late slate for DK, please, Sal? What's going on, Colin? I only play the main slates. That's a lie. I only play the main slates, but I'll play the night slates sometimes, like once in a blue moon, right? Most of the time I'm sleeping by the time those 10 o'clock games start, or right around when they're starting. So if you have specific questions on this guy versus that guy, I can answer it, but I don't have anything to really add to the overall general strategy of the 2-game slate because I'm not playing it, right? Alaska in the house as always. What's going on? How you doing, Bronx? How you doing, my man? What's up, man? Ingram in a GPP seems okay at best. All right. Okay, cool. It seems like we don't got much more questions coming in. If that's the case, we might be able to wrap this thing up. Hit like, hit subscribe, do those things. I appreciate you. And I'll see a good amount of you at 7 p.m. Tomorrow we'll be going live at 12:30 p.m. East Coast time. So again, hit that notification bell. I'll be going live with Dylan Bird. Comes on this channel sometimes. We'll be talking about Youth. We'll have an NBA video in the morning, an NBA live stream tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. And then, we'll keep moving on. Thursday, we'll have NBA stuff in a NASCAR or in an MMA video. Friday, NBA stuff in a NASCAR video. Weekend content, all that type of stuff. A+ says, what is the best game to stack tonight? My man, my stances on stacks is that I don't personally stack. So I don't see the upside in stacking. It doesn't make much sense. The overall totals and stuff are already built into the game. So if there's specific players that I like, I'll play them. There's no correlation between players like there is in NBA, or teams like there is in hockey and the shifts and the rotations, or teams like there is in limited scoring sports like baseball, right? Or League of Legends stacking and the correlation there. And the success of if they win, they're probably going to be getting a lot of points because that win bonus. So there's no correlation like that in the NBA. The only correlation is if you get more minutes because of overtime. That's when correlation for a team will start to spike. So I have no interest in game stacking. If you want to say, hey, I'm in a game stack this because that's the highest total, that's already factored into my projections. So it's like overweighting the total then at that point, which is building faulty lineups. Is Harden going to be a lock even with higher ownership? I won't have 100% and 150 max. He's going to be in my single entry lineup though. Yeah. Thanks, brother. No problem, man. What's going on, Josh? How are you doing, man? Thanks, Sal. No problem, man. Are you still trying to get 2 studs with these OKC values kind of gone? Yeah, I'm trying to get 2 studs. Point guard tough tonight or just me? I think it's okay. I think there's enough value options, decent mid-range options, and then you have your obvious pay-up option in Harden. All right, everybody, I'm going to bounce. I'll see everybody at 7 p.m. Hopefully, everybody, be sure to tune back in. It's going to be the premiere of the show. So let's show Jock Market what this community is all about. Trying to learn the new sport, trying to ask any questions on that. If you want to even come in and just talk about some of the games at 7 p.m. that are on, we'll be live at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Jock Market locks at 7:30 tonight. We'll talk more about that on the opening bell, the season and the series premiere debut of the opening bell. Appreciate you all a ton. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Al. I think you're right. I like DeAndre Jordan tonight, even though he's an old man back-to-back. Yeah, he's going to be probably the highest owned guy, Jordan, but he looks pretty good to me. All right, everybody. Thank you. Who else is a top play for the cheap range? Jermichael Green looks good. Depending on Monty Morris, he'll look good. Bob Williams, if you're trying to punt at 3,100. Thank you, everybody. Peace out. See you. A lot of live streams tonight, 7 p.m., 12:30 p.m. tomorrow for golf, and then 4:30 p.m. tomorrow night for NBA. So a lot of live streams over the next 24 hours. So, yeah, 3 live streams in the next 24 hours. Hope to see you all there. Like, subscribe, do those things. If you want to check out Patreon for tools, analysis, and all that type of stuff to increase your chances, Discord chat, community chat in there. Talk to some like-minded people, including myself. That is down below. And before you go, be sure if you're not playing on Super Draft tonight, sign up. Try it out. What do you got to lose? Why not? Why not is the way that you should be living your life? Why not? Simple 2 words with a question mark. Bam. Sign up with the promo code SAL, S-A-L. Let them know that you came from me. Get a free dollar Rooski bonus up to $500 Rooskies. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate you. TTV Tyler says, I love you, Sal, and thank you. Appreciate you, my man. Have a great rest of your night, friends. Peace out. See you later at 7 p.m. East Coast time.